Cold winter afternoon. The doorbell was ringing non-stop. Non-stop. Pallavi knew it's her son Abhishek at the door. Pallavi opened the door, saw Abhishek, 5-year-old boy, wearing a bright white uniform and a red maroon sweater. Pallavi had a bright smile on her face, and so did Abhishek. Pallavi got down to her knees, hugged Abhishek, and said, "It's lovely to see you back from the school." Abhishek, all excited, said, "Mama, I learned something today and I'm very, very excited to share with you." Pallavi said, "Please go ahead." Abhishek started, "Mom, I learned about traffic signals today. I learned about traffic signals." And Pallavi said, "Go ahead." Abhishek started, "Red means stop. Green means go. Yellow means pause, watch." And very excited, Pallavi could not hold herself, and she said, "The moment your daddy comes back home, you will go on a ride with him and you will see the actual signals, and you should be giving him instructions looking at the lights." Now, Abhishek was excited, waiting for his dad to come home. Evening happened, dad came back home, and even before he could have a glass of water, Abhishek said, "Daddy, we need to go out for a ride." Daddy took him for a ride. "Red, Papa, red, stop." And Daddy stopped the car. "Green, it's green, Papa, let's go." They moved. "Yellow, let's wait and watch." They had a great journey, a great lesson, a great ride. They came back home. A few days later, the family went out for a dinner, and they were coming back during midnight. The dad was driving the car at a decent speed. Abhishek was sitting right next to him, while the mother was sitting at the back. Abhishek saw from a distance that the signal is red, but the car is still going on a very fast pace. To his shock and surprise, his father did not stop the car. Abhishek looked at his father and said, "Papa, that was a red light. We were to stop. That was a red light. We were to stop." And his dad looked at him and said, "It's night time. Nobody is watching, and it is okay." Now, puzzled and confused Abhishek as to what just happened, could not sleep properly. The next morning, goes to school, looks at his teacher and says, "Ma'am, I am angry with you." And she said, "What happened, Abhishek?" And Abhishek said, "Ma'am, you only taught us the lessons for the day, but not for the night." And teacher was puzzled, and she said, "What happened?" And he narrated the whole incident. Now, listening to the incident, the teacher had a big smile on her face, looking at the innocence of the child, and said, "You know what, Abhishek? You got your lessons right, but it's time that your parents get their lessons right." Charity begins at home, and so does conscious parenting, and so does unconscious parenting. It's strange that we take driving lessons when we want to learn our car, when we want to drive for the very first time. How many of you have taken some driving lessons? Maybe from your cousin, maybe from your friends, maybe from your father. Everybody, right? And just all of us. We take driving lessons so that we can drive well. But when it comes to driving our kids in life, a lot of hit and trial, a lot of guesswork. If driving can be risky without knowledge, is it not risky to raise kids without enough knowledge and awareness? Unfortunately, that is what is happening. If somebody has to jump into a pool of water which is deep without knowledge of swimming, that can be risky, isn't it? Raising a child without the right knowledge and unconsciously, isn't that risky? But unfortunately, that is happening today. In our world, right from a tiny pin to a gigantic plane, we have everything. There are degrees on everything, right from a pin to a plane. But when it comes to parenting, guess what? What is happening? Guesswork. A lot of it is still going on guesswork. And there are some statistics which can bother you, but at the same time can open your eyes to understand this domain in a better way. They say that 75% of a child's overall development and his belief systems They get developed by the age he or she turns about 13 or 14, 75%. She turns about 13 or 14. The way they think about money, the way they think about people, the way they think about government, the way they think about their own selves, the way they think about people outside, the way they think about their friends, all of it gets developed by the age of about 13 or 14. And the way it happens is that we have in our brain something known as mirror neurons. And as the name says, mirror neurons, what do? You know, all the females out here, the moment I said mirror, I saw a good big smile on their face, because mirror is very close to the heart, I believe. I think it's for both the genders. Mirror neurons, they have three functions. Function number one is that they mirror whatever is being done around them. The first function is they observe. Now, these are crucial three functions that every parent should keep in their mind. They observe whatever is being done around them. They observe whatever is being said around them. They observe any behavior that is being done around them. Function number two is they absorb. The first is observe, then it's absorb, and function number three is express. When the right time comes, a child expresses whatever has been observed and whatever has been absorbed. This is something that I would like to share with you. I was speaking to a child and he said that right in front of me, there was a teacher present, and he looked at the teacher and said, "Oh, well, she doesn't know anything." And I said, "Hey, you can't say that to a teacher." And he said, "No, I didn't say that. I keep hearing it all the time from my parents that your teacher doesn't know anything." And you know, he's not at fault, by the way. The three functions are doing the job, right? Because observing, absorbing, and expressing is taking place. Now, all these years, I've been studying different things on the subject, and what I come to see is that the early years, what instances a child goes through, what experiences a child goes through, what conversation a child goes through, has a long-term impact on them. Has anybody heard, you're good for nothing? Has anybody heard that? Yeah. And did that bother you? Did that impact you? I vouch for that. Those conversations, they run in the background. But if you ask a parent, they always say, "You know what? We said that for their benefit." Yes or no? We always say it for your benefit. You know, all the parents out there, while the intention is pure, but it's the conversation that gets delivered to a child that stays with them at a very deep level. You know, all these years, traveled to a couple of places, and I gathered the three best things in terms of parenting that works. Three of them. Let's see if the memory joggers can do a good job. Number one is BARM, it's BAM. It stands for be a role model. Be a role model. Now let me see if the memory works fine. Number two is, now this one is a little complicated, and this would really call for your attention and your presence of mind and all of your attention. I would want you to come a little forward, Put your hands on your ears, Yeah, come a little forward. Yeah, listen to this one very carefully. This one, technique number two, stands for be a role model. Any guesses what is the third one? Smart audience, right? You're pretty smart. So, being a role model is something which is very, very crucial, and what we see all around is that parents end up, of course the intention is positive, but what gets delivered has a deep impact on a child's mind and brain. It is said that the first 16 years can have an impact till 60. Now we don't know how long is the game that we have, but first 16 years can have a long-term impact. Conversations back home have a huge impact on a child's brain. Conversations back home have a huge impact on a child's confidence. Conversations back home have a huge impact how a child looks at life. Conversations back home build their belief systems. Let me give you an example. I'm sure you would have all heard this. Money does not grow on. Wow, pretty intelligent. right? So there are belief systems that we pick up, and on the lighter side is fun, but at the same time, these belief systems, when a child gets into the real life, in the background, the conversation runs. Money doesn't grow on, and hence his life unfolds in a certain way. 90% of the parents report that they never ever read anything about parenting. 90% of them. And you know what the 10% has to say? Oh, well, we read a page or two, and maybe we heard a video or two. Now, imagine if the biggest project that a parent is running is the child, and that project is being run on guesswork. And guess what? If the guesswork goes on forever, it's going to lead to a lot of damages. The demand is that every parent, much like a license that is required to drive a car, every parent must get a license before he becomes a parent. Every parent must get a license before he gets a parent. At a very personal level, I feel that, have you heard of the Hulk and the Spider-Man and the other mans and the women's? I don't want to keep the women's upset. They all have superpowers. Would you agree? We have seen the superpowers. Every father is a Superman, and every mother is a Superwoman. And conscious parenting is their true superpower. The next time you have a conversation with your child, and you say, you know what, you're good for nothing, remember, you're raising a child who might pass on the same message for generations to come. And you don't even know the impact can go way deep down, right? Now, there's something that I wanted to talk about in respect of marks. How many of you like to get good marks? Can I see a show of hands? How many of you got good marks? Yeah, I think the equation changed, right? There's a lot of conversation around marks. You ask a parent, what is it that you really want of your child? And a parent says that, beta, you look at the neighbor's son and the daughter, he's scoring so well, and he says, you know, I'm so occupied looking at them that my grades have gone down. What I want to say is that marks will help to a certain point, not to say that they're not important, but then in the real life, there are other things that the child is paying in terms of cost to get those marks. Sometimes it can be pressure, sometimes it can be loss of confidence, sometimes it can be loss of self-esteem, sometimes it can be peer pressure. The message is that it's okay to prepare your kids for marks, but it's even more important to prepare your kids such that they can leave a mark. That's even more crucial. And all the parents out there, the submission is that before you become a parent, all the kids have been going through a lot of, any students out here who have undergone a test recently, okay, so it's time to flip the game. It's time that a parent is put through a test when he becomes a parent on his understanding of the subject called parenting, because the biggest subject that a parent runs is parenting. Thank you.